Stein.
Alabama goes into North Carolina and gets a huge monster, maybe even historic win.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson with the HSA Radio Network. That's me. Jimmy Stein with Bama Online. That's normally him. It's Jimmy Stein with an extreme makeover tonight. That's going to be Michael Southern, who is a lifelong Alabama basketball fan. I've seen him at the Final Four, just a good dude. He's been on the podcast before, and he knows his Tide hoops. And I know he was watching this game tonight and enjoying every single second of it because it was never in doubt.
No, it wasn't. And the one thing I would mention here is I think anybody who watched that game, especially from the Alabama side, Alabama played well, but they didn't play great. I would say maybe Alabama went into Chapel Hill. I would say maybe a B game, still won by double digits. So I can tell you this, the ceiling is still up there and the future is still bright. And this team still has a long way it can go. The potential is still out there. They're not even scratching the surface yet.
No, the ceiling is the roof, as Michael Jordan once told us.
Yep.
The ceiling is the roof. And boy, how great was it tonight? You know, we don't know this was going to happen until right at tip-off. I mean, you know, you learn that Houston, Mallett, and Chris Youngblood are going through warm-ups. But you're thinking, okay, maybe they burn Houston's red shirt, maybe, but maybe they want to see how it goes. Well, with about 11:40 left to go in the first half, they put him in. He comes in, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, the Dean Dome, one of the most iconic basketball arenas in this country, and all he does is go 2 for 2 from beyond the arc and doesn't shoot any other shots. He was fantastic. I mean, he was involved. He wasn't – the moment didn't get to him. I mean, I thought that was one of the bigger stories because all of a sudden I'm like, I'm not saying Latrell Wrightsell who. I'm just saying this guy isn't going to be like this monster drop-off.
So I agree, and it was a little bit surprised that they went ahead and made the decision to take the red shirt off Houston Mallett. But one thing to remember, though, I mean, he's a graduate transfer from Pepperdine, so it's not like he's an 18-year-old freshman coming in there. Now, granted, has he played in the Dean Smith Center before? Maybe not. But at the same time, he's a veteran player, which is what you need to succeed. So you actually need a mix of talent. You need a mix of youth and you need a mix of experience, which is what we said this team has. So, again, as we mentioned, I think they were really good minutes. And I think the one thing I liked from Houston Mallett was his defense. I thought he played pretty good defense when he came in there tonight, too. So he contributed both offensively and defensively. And I think for him now that he's going to be part of the rotation, you're going to see his minutes probably increase, especially as we get closer to the SEC play. So, again, I hate it for Latrell Wrightsell. I mean, gosh, I love Latrell. I mean, he was a human run stopper. He stops the other team's run with a shot or he starts an Alabama run. So he will be sorely missed. But, again, I think Houston Mallett's going to play a major role going forward coming off the bench for this team.
Oh, I do too. And meanwhile, LeBaron Philon, Law
yes.
meaning the, and Baron meaning a powerful person. He is a powerful person on this team. LeBaron Philon is just, I mean, he's so much fun. And he really does look like a dude who's played a lot of football because he ain't scared. He just attacks. And he's like, I'll go up in the air and then I'll figure out what I want to do sometimes. And he's got plenty of time to do it. Meanwhile, Cliff Omori just dunks everything. He just dunks it. I mean, he just it was funny. Grant Nelson, I'm not sure who he was trying to throw the lob to, but he threw a lob at, and I was like, nobody could get that. I mean, Cliff couldn't get it. Nobody was possibly Dante Hall wasn't going to get that. Nobody would have gotten that one. But that's the only pass I've seen all year that Cliff can't go get.
Yeah, maybe you forgot that Cliff wasn't on the other end. I think that was the lob you're talking about to Mohamed Diabate. So that was maybe the one errant pass. But I think you and I were joking about it, or I was joking to the fact that the thing with Cliff, when you get him the ball and he's going up, he is so quick, powerful, and efficient that he dunks so fast that you're sitting there like, did he just dunk? Did I actually see that? Because it's so fast. And then LeBaron Philon. I mean, glad to see that he shook off that one bad game in Vegas. Uh, Fearless. You're right. He no hesitation. He will attack the rim. He's got good elevation. And the play where he took on 1-on-4, oh, that was incredible. That was a great play. When he didn't hesitate 1 minute. And I thought North Carolina was probably thinking he's going to back that ball out. It's like, no, I'm going to take it to the hole and I'm going to score against four of you and embarrass you all on television. So that was great to see from LeBaron. Again, the potential is there. Everyone can see it. They're getting better. Again, anxious to see the team we see today. I don't think is going to be the team you see in February and March. If it goes the way we hope, it'll be even better. That's what we're hoping for.
This is when it's a lot of fun. By the way, we're getting a lot of comments. I don't know. Are you a big fan of The Office?
Yeah, I've seen a few episodes.
Have you seen the one where Jim Halpert switches out his Asian friend for like all the pictures, and they're saying this is giving very serious Office vibes right now, and I dig that. I appreciate our listeners' sense of humor. Austin Seymour, I think he's talking. Brantley Darnell says Luke's wife came in the room and said not to be so loud, and also Seymour said he's divorced. I am divorced, but I am remarried, so I mean you're both right. So.
Hey, I do wish I had Jimmy's hair. How about that? I would love.
That's not bad. I think we all wish we had.
Yes, Jimmy's got fantastic hair. He's got the best hair you can see on a podcast.
For those that are wondering, no, I do not know how to take off the Jimmy Stein and his X handle beneath that. That's why I didn't change it. I knew it was there. I thought it would be better if I just left it, rather than waiting 30 minutes after the game, because I was so excited after this. Michael Southern texted me a picture of a tweet from an Auburn guy a few years ago when LeBaron Philon had committed to Auburn. Aiden Holloway was already on the team. And he said, when Aiden Holloway and LeBaron Philon are together, it's over for the rest of college basketball. Little did he know he was right, just not for his team.
That's right. So again, we know that anything you put on X is forever. So people will bring that up all the time. But yes, that's just fun. Again, we're having fun between the programs because, again, we're about to have Auburn and Duke tip off, so that's going to be a fun kind of combination of hate watch for the Alabama fans. But it's always a fun thing.
Well, right now, I just turned my head a second ago. Auburn's already up 10-2. It wouldn't shock me if Auburn blows them out of the water. Duke is not that great. They're okay.
Yeah. Again, I'm going to admit it. Auburn's playing great basketball. They really are, and that's a very veteran team. And we can only hope that what you see now is their ceiling, and they're not going to get any better. But could be wrong. They could get better. So that's a really good team. That's a very good team.
Well, and they're very experienced. I mean, Alabama and Auburn may be the class of the SEC, and the SEC is absolutely blistering the ACC. Ironically, the only win for the ACC so far, I believe, is Clemson over Kentucky.
Yeah,
that's weird. It used to be the other way around, like Kentucky be our only win in something like that.
Yeah, so that it's almost ironic that right now the only victory for the ACC is Kentucky, and that's against Clemson. So what do we joke about? Kentucky, welcome to like middle class. So middle class basketball. Yeah. So,
hey, there is part of me when I was watching this game tonight that was thinking, if I'm a North Carolina fan, I'm sitting there going, usually this happens the other way, and we are the team that looks like Alabama, and Alabama kind of looks like us, like they look moderately talented, and we're the badasses because this wasn't like a fluky, we just got hot. We're a lot better than North Carolina, a lot better.
Yeah, so I agree. So as I was watching the game, North Carolina likes to run. So if you want to run, Alabama will more than be happy to take you up on that. And as you watch the game, Alabama has better shooters. They have better bigs. They're more athletic, and they have more depth. North Carolina is not going to win that game. They are not going to win that run, even at their home place. I mean, look at it. North Carolina made 5 3-pointers. Aiden Holloway made 5 all by himself. So, again, yeah, I know. It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, and Aiden Holloway, look, he's still every now and again. He when he gets trapped, it's bad. He has not found a way to get out of a trap well. When his shot is off, it's seemingly way off. But man, I'm still all on board with Aiden Holloway having the green light because when he's stroking it, he's as good as anybody we have out there.
So I agree. Again, probably what. again, maybe not frustrates fans, but maybe kind of skews the picture a little bit is he will have great shots, but when he misses a shot, it's usually a really bad miss. And so people are like, don't take that shot. But if you look at the numbers, he can be a very good shooter and he gives you a change of pace off the bench because he is so fast. He is so fast. He can accelerate quickly. I thought, in that game against Houston, he was a spark plug that Alabama needed when it got kind of ugly. I mean, he was getting past those Houston defenders. So he's got a skill set that Alabama can definitely utilize, and he's really more suited for this style of play at Alabama than probably he was at Auburn.
That's absolutely right. Listen, I want to tell everybody about FanDuel very quickly because FanDuel is the sponsor of our program. We appreciate FanDuel so very much, and so I'm going to do that. Y'all know I love FanDuel. I always have. It's awesome. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get 150 smacks and bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with 150 smacks and bonus bets with your first $5 win. That's only at FanDuel.com, which is an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So Alabama's next opponent, we're going to stick with North Carolina, but Alabama's next opponent is Creighton. They are beating Kansas, who's #1 team in the country right now. They're up 10 at half. And so this is what's kind of weird. I'm pulling for Creighton because they come to Alabama next Saturday night on the 14th. And I want that place to be rocking. I want it to be happening. I want Creighton to be as good as they can be for our strength of schedule. But if they win and Auburn wins and Auburn's up 13-5, Auburn's going to go #1 in the country. And I'm not fired up about that.
Well, I agree with you on Creighton. You definitely I know Creighton's taken a few hits already, but because we were expecting a Creighton coming in maybe with one loss or maybe even undefeated. So that'll be a little bit of a surprise, but it'll still be a big game. Hopefully it'll be a big crowd. I know students will technically be gone because that next week is exam week. But again, you're gonna get challenged inside with Kalkbrenner and some of the other people that they have there at Creighton. And look, what Alabama needs to beat Creighton. What do we joke? They're our new biggest rival, so we need to take care of Creighton. So again, just focus on getting better. I'm looking forward to seeing Houston Millett get more playing time, and might have a Chris Youngblood sighting in about a week and a half here in Coleman Coliseum.
That would be nice, and just some more depth because this team is like Randy Travis said, deeper than the holler. This team is like that. And look, just for those who are just joining us, people keep saying, that's not Jimmy. Like, I don't know it. Like, I just invited somebody and
yeah.
Y'all don't know that I don't know how to change that graphic. Michael Southern runs it's at Tide Hoops History, right? What is
at Bama History? At Bama
History. That's what it is. And I mean, I don't ever look at the handle because I just look at the tweets. But it is Tide Hoops History is the name of the. I don't. What's the difference? Why do we have two things like that? I don't know. Tide Hoops History is what it is. And it's a great follow. So go check them out. But man, going back to this game for just a second, Mark Sears, not exactly out of what I would consider to be a slump by Sears standards, but he played well. And I think this was Alabama's best game of the year. Darian Reed had his moments. Aiden Sherrill, boy, I saw him early in the game, and then I didn't see him a lot more.
He didn't play. I don't think he played hardly any, or if he did in the second half. Yeah, Aiden Sherrill still working on finding the right spot and moments for him. Look, they're going to need him in some of those big matchups when you get into the teams like Florida and Tennessee that have height, because he's a big body kid, and they're going to need him. So, I know that lineup, they started the second half when you start with Jaron and Cliff and Grant. They went with the big lineup. That's the lineup you're going to be playing when you play Tennessee and Florida and some of those other teams when they've got the bigs down there. But Aiden Sherrill, still a freshman. He's going to work his way in there. He likes to shoot the three. His shots around the rim, The touch will come. He just needs a little more playing time. Again, you're going to have Creighton coming up at home. I expect him to play a decent amount, especially with Kalkbrenner down low. You're going to need bodies to throw at him. And then you're going to get a couple of non-conference games. You'll get a chance to get him more reps in there too before you start SEC play. So yes, the one-handed dunk by Darian Reed. My goodness. My goodness, what an athletic play.
I mean, when's the last time we had a dude that could do that? I mean, yeah, there's some other guys that can do it. Like if you are practicing just messing around. But when's the last time we had somebody that could do it in a game that big? I mean, sure, Dante Hall could do it. Obviously, I think Omori could do it, although he'd probably catch it with his teeth and dunk it or something. but Reed not being the true big man, seeing him do it, I mean, it was super athletic to see that.
So let me ask you this: do you remember
Alonzo G? Good call by somebody out there.
Well, I was going to ask you that. I got two people to throw out there to see what you think from an athletic standpoint. I mean, again, Darian Reed is very athletic, but I remember some of the athletic dunks in the past by Scenario Hillman and also by Tony Mitchell, and of course, we always have Spree. So there's three athletic dunkers right there.
And help me, Michael, because I'm older than probably everybody listening and watching and whatever. Andre, whose name escapes me, he was sort of a bigger guy. He's a little bit he almost had like a Charles Barkley-esque build. He was like maybe in the late 90s.
Andre, why can't I think?
You know who I'm talking about? Somebody listening will know who I'm talking about. That name dawned on me.
Andre Perry?
Andre Perry, that's it.
Okay.
He had some dunks back in his day. He had some dunks. So I mean, he could certainly do that. Eric Washington, somebody brought him up.
Eric's a good one. Eric's a good one. There have been some very athletic players that come through that have been great, exciting dunkers, that's for sure. But that one by Reed in the game, and remember, it was a key. North Carolina had a little bit of a run going. Yeah. And he answered on that one.
That's a great point. That's another thing. This team that I noticed during the game, there were a couple of times where it felt like Alabama was in all this control, and then I would hear the crowd get loud. By the way, kudos to North Carolina's crowd. I mean, their noise came through well. And at the very beginning of the game, their defense was bananas. I mean, they were like in our grill. But if you know basketball, the casual probably looked like, oh, God, they're going to DS up all night. You know that can't last. It can't last. Like, you can't play that way the whole game. And once Alabama broke them out of that, it was over. And but anyway, I thought the crowd was great. But my point was, North Carolina makes a run. They cut it to 9 or they cut it to 10 or 8 or something a couple of times. Alabama didn't panic in the least. And in fact, it was the opposite. Alabama would come back and have a 6-0, 8-0 run themselves. And those runs are huge when you're talking about getting to 15, 16 points. And North Carolina can't shoot.
No. So though, as I mentioned, North Carolina likes to run, but they can't shoot. So that's not a very good combination. So Alabama will take that trade any day. You talked about the defense at the beginning of the game. You're right. Carolina was D'ing it up really hard, almost playing more half court. But, Mark kind of broke the ice a little bit with some of the plays that he made. And then once North Carolina kind of like went back to being North Carolina, they couldn't keep up with Alabama. I mean, when did you ever think you would see a time when the Alabama basketball program has more talent and better shooters consistently than North Carolina? That's just a weird universe. Well,
in fact, I'm telling you what, I think we had better starters and a better bench. Like down the line, man for man. RJ Davis, he was supposed to be a contender for National Player of the Year. I ain't trading just about anybody on this team for him. I mean, and that's no offense to him. It's a testament to how good we are. Also, shout out to Jaron Stevenson, who has begun to shoot well. I mean, he's 7 of his last 9. I just heard that on the broadcast. He only had, of the starters, he was the only one in single digits. All 4 other starters were in double digits, along with Holloway and Reed. And what's great is, Cheryl didn't give us a lot. Diabate didn't give us a lot. But everybody's had their moment over the last 2 or 3 weeks where you're like, oh, if Diabate's not there for a couple of these games, we lose. But then it's Aiden Holloway for a couple of times. Of course, Sears can do his thing. Phylon has been a monster at times. He was National Freshman of the Year on, I think, Gary Parrish on CBS. I mean, he keeps up with it each week. So just a ton of fun. And we got a big one coming up a week from Saturday. Of course, there's going to be a lot to celebrate. But, boy, if Alabama somehow makes it into the playoffs and then we get to go play a Creighton team that just beat the number one team in the country, Coleman's going to be rocking. So y'all be sure to get over there.
Yeah. One thing I want to say real quickly about Jaron, I know a lot of people were so down on him, but if you will go back and again, if you want to go back and do film set study, the biggest difference here why Jaron is hitting his shots, they're passing the ball to him so much better. Go back and look at some of those shots. He's reaching down around his knees and his ankles, and it's just a bad rhythm. But the shots tonight that he was making, most of the shots were right here, right where it's supposed to be. Catch and shoot, catch and shoot. So you pass the ball to Jaron in that what they call Alabama calls the shot pocket. He's going to make those threes, I promise you. So I'm not worried about Jaron. We just got to get him better passes. That's all.
Boy, and again, I'm having a hard time. Names late at night, Luke's brain shuts off. The Florida player, he was white chocolate. Jason, help me.
Oh, you're talking about was it Jason Williams?
Jason Williams. Yes. How do I forget Williams? But yeah. Jason Williams. He was doing. I saw him on an interview the other day, like an old interview. I'm just down a YouTube rabbit hole, and he talked about how he loved to practice with his teammates to find out how they like to receive the ball. And they were like, "Oh, you mean like low or high?" He goes, "No, I wanted to know if they wanted to catch it with their fingers in the seams or on the flat part of the ball." He said, "I wanted to know how they wanted." He had such control over his passes. He was knowing if he was passing to a player and he wanted to catch it in the seams. I thought that was crazy. I was like, I don't even know how you could possibly do that. But, these guys make a bunch of money to do it. So, anyway, Michael, man, pleasure having you. Thanks for being on tonight. Truly appreciate you, brother. And hopefully I'll see you at the Creighton game.
Yeah, absolutely. Text me. Let me know. We'll meet up if you're at the game.
All right, until tomorrow when Jimmy will be back. Non-Asian Jimmy will be back tomorrow. that is so funny. Somebody brought up The Office. That's great.
God.
All right,
funny.
That's going to do it. Until tomorrow, everybody. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.